Okay, we got some hot stove
great
news for you. Hot stove. Blue Jays trade Teoscar Hernandez to the Mariners. Brad, how do you feel about that?
I'm so pumped. So pumped. Jerry DiPoto is pulling an LA Dodgers here and said, hey, this guy beat us or almost beat us. Let's bring him in.
Yeah.
Because he hit 2 homers and had several RBIs, obviously, with 2 homers in that wild card game that the Mariners had to come back and win. Like he was like a one-man wrecking crew in that game.
He was.
And now it's like, you know what? He could be a step up from what we've got. Let's bring him on in. And I could not be more pumped about it. I like that guy. He's got a good attitude. I think he's going to fit right in with the clubhouse. I think he's certainly going to be a step up from what Jesse Winker was when he was like hobbling his way through the season after a fight. But I think it's a perfect addition. So,
staying in Seattle, Kyle Lewis is gone. He's moving to Arizona, traded for Cooper Hummel. Thoughts on that, though?
Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting trade because Jewel and I have talked about what to do with Kyle Lewis a lot this last year.
Yes.
You know, he came back from the knee injury, but he wasn't like really back. Like he couldn't really run. And then he got the concussion. Then he was out for the rest of the year, everything. And it was kind of like, we'll just send him down to AAA, let him get himself right physically, mentally, everything, and then come back next year. But then you kind of see what the Mariners had with Kyle Lewis with this trade, because Cooper Hummel, I was looking at a lot of what Diamondbacks fans are saying, like, well, you're not really giving anything up for Kyle Lewis. And I just want to be like, you're not really getting a whole lot back right now. Like, I would love for Kyle Lewis to come down to Arizona, which, by the way, I'm pumped about because I'm a huge Kyle Lewis fan. I get to watch him all the time now. I love it. But I would love for him to come back and win Comeback Player of the Year, because he's obviously capable of it, but he's got to get better physically to get to that point. And I just don't know if he's going to be able to. Like, he might have a wrecked knee, like what happened to Brandon Roy with the Blazers, that once his was a torn meniscus and he never came back from it. And that's a big deal. Torn meniscus.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how the Cooper Hummel deal works out for the Mariners, because he's an outfielder and a catcher.
Right. That's what I was curious about, because we've talked about Seattle needing like a really great catcher.
Yeah, need a solid backup. Because, I mean, Cal Raleigh played through that thumb injury because there was not a viable option behind him.
Exactly.
Tom Murphy will be back, but I still don't love him even as a backup.
Right.
You know, so I think Cooper Hummel will be a pretty good backup for Cal Raleigh, and I think that he'd be a viable option should he get injured and need to fill in time. But no, it's interesting to have that specific combination on the roster.
So, yeah. You don't see it very often. You also, let's move over to Cody Bellinger. He was non-tendered, same thing. He was non-tendered by the Dodgers. And to me, this was one of those super dumb moments where we were all just sitting around waiting for them to be fed up with Cody Bellinger. I think that they really did give him as much time as he could have gotten from any team to pull it together and bring it back around, and he just never did. I think they were really pretty graceful about it with him, or gracious even, and it just didn't work out. So I wonder where he'll end up, and that's I honestly, I know we can do a bunch of analysis and figure out where probabilities are, but I don't think any of that matters. I honestly think wherever he goes, anybody was going to be like, what?
My thing with Cody Bellinger, I think that he's actually going to get a pretty soft landing spot, because teams are going to look at his splits against the shift and traditional alignment and playing like defenses playing straight up. Yeah. He hits over 300 if they're not shifted on him.
Yeah.
I don't know if the shift is the problem. I mean, I watched games where guys were talking about how there were other problems. Like, I think it was a Sunday night game. So A-Rod was talking about how Bellinger's helmet kept falling off every time he'd swing. He's like, that means his head's moving, which means he's never going to hit the ball.
Right.
That's a big time problem. And, maybe that's led to other problems, but I don't know.
That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like, it's got to go way deeper than just, he seems like a space case and he can't pull it together. Right? Like, there's way more to it.
Yeah, it's I'm sure it's all mechanical for him. That like he's messed with his swing so much over the last year that he's got to get back to basics. And I think once he does, I don't think he'll ever be an MVP again, but I think he could be an all-star, I think.
So I see him got it. Yeah, I see him pulling a Jock Peterson kind of trajectory at this point, where he gets bounced around a little bit. he pulls his weight. If he's got things figured out, he'll pull his weight. But you're right. He'll never rise all the way back up, and he's never going to be the Cody Bellinger we once knew and thought he would be. But what I mean by I disagree with you that it's all mechanical. I think it's become mental at this point too. I think he's really in his own way.
Yeah. And I think that the mechanics leads to that like you're thinking too much about what your back elbow's doing and everything, you know, all that, where your hands are going, all that stuff. And you know what though, like I know I just said that I thought that he could get back to being all-star level. I don't know that that's likely. I think he could, but Jock Peterson I just want to go to him real quick because he's gotten himself an interesting role with teams, because he was like the clubhouse guy with the Pearls, right? The kooky clubhouse guy with the Braves. And he's kind of been like, this will be my role. I'm kind of the clubhouse bro, and I'm fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't know if Cody Bellinger can necessarily do that. I don't know if he has the personality. You know,
who knows?
I don't know.
I just mean like on the field impact, right? Because Jock is there when you need him, but that's it.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to say minimal effort, but maybe minimal contribution to stick around on a roster.
It's like, we're glad you're here, but sit over there for a little while, please. So I feel like Cody Bellinger, if he landed in Denver, I think that would make the most sense to me out of anything, because it would almost make no sense. And you're like, whatever, just go.
Well, and it would inflate his numbers too, so it'd make him feel like he's doing well, right?
Right. So just go hide in Denver for a while and get everything figured out. Anyway, let's move on. Luke Voit was also non-tendered by the Nationals. This is a big fat rut row for Luke Voit.
I think so. The fact that the Nationals don't even want him back.
Yeah, this is bad. Yikes. And I wonder if he's got an attitude problem. After having been traded from San Diego to Washington.
I think he had an attitude problem in New York that led to him being traded to San Diego, and it's just persisted.
That's what I'm saying. I think that, he ends up in San Diego, and he's like, okay, I don't have to be angry anymore. They trade him to Washington, and all of it doubles down. And I don't know, but that's what I could see happening.
I could see it happening. Absolutely. Yeah.
Anthony Rizzo signs a 2-year deal with the Yankees. Everybody thinks this is the linchpin that's going to help bring Aaron Judge back. We will see. Part 2, we don't know about Aaron Judge yet. Thank you for coming. Okay, Jose Abreu, though, has signed a 3-year deal with Houston. This is fascinating. All of Chicago Southside is irate right now. They are feeling betrayed, and they are feeling hurt, and they think the new manager has already like squandered their future and everything like that because of this. Because they didn't call Jose Abreu the minute he was brought on to lead the team. So it's really interesting that he's going to be a great replacement for Yuli down in Houston. This is a perfect spot for him to be. It's a great solution for the Astros, indeed. But it's interesting because he would have had he's you know, if they had more winning seasons, he's a statue out front kind of guy for Chicago.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. That he would be. He's 35, so he's not a young guy. He's not like old by any stretch, like super old by any stretch of the imagination. But I guess in baseball years, he's really getting there. He made his debut when he was 27.
Right.
So
he's been around for 7 million years. Yeah,
it's what it feels like. Yeah,
it does. Yeah. I can't remember a time where Jose Abreu was not involved.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I think it's interesting. I don't know that every team and every player plug and play, and I don't know how that's going to play down there in Houston. And I don't know, and I'm not necessarily saying the clubhouse thing, because obviously he is beloved in the clubhouse. They loved him in Chicago, right?
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know. It feels awkward to me for some reason, but I can't put my finger on what it is. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, interesting. So and I think it's a good fit. So we'll see.